Didn't you shout out Drake and
Khaled?
Yeah, that was you, right? For not speaking on the whole. Yeah, that was.
And then shortly afterwards, Drake made a statement.
You know, I actually defended you.
Not speaking on what?
Palestine.
In that case.
Oh.
Because one's Palestinian and
I had
the other one
a-
claims Jewish. And,
Yeah, I did.
And my whole thing was, you should say something. And I went on the Breakfast Club and I said, and I'm Jewish myself, and I've been to Israel and Palestine, and I said that both parties are wrong.
Right.
You know, Hamas is wrong for an attack that killed over 1,000 people and the kidnappings, and Israel is wrong with the retaliation that's killing innocent people. Both parties are wrong. And to this day, Khaled hasn't said anything. And he's the one that bragged about being the son of a Palestinian shoemaker. That was his platform. But he hasn't said a single thing about Palestine. I guess he's worried he might fuck up his Nike deal.
No,
Yeah.
I don't think that's it. We can't speculate at this point.
Has he said anything?
We can't speculate.
He's the
on
most
why,
popular
though.
Palestinian on the planet,
We
essentially.
still can't speculate on why he hasn't said
Okay,
anything.
but I can still say,
That he
why aren't you
hasn't
saying
said-
anything?
Right.
Yeah.
And that's my opinion.
When babies
And I
are
stand on
dying,
it.
I do feel like there should be a voice. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, adults, they get older, they can make their own decisions.
Yeah.
You know, it's survival of the fittest out here. And sometimes intelligence is what's going to take you to the next level. And
Yeah.
some people lack that and they get left on the wayside. But when babies are dying,
Yeah.
I think there should be a worldwide outcry like, stop.
And there is.
there is.
There is.
There is.
And
Nobody
I
hearing
think
shit,
that, you know, I think Biden that's going to hurt his chances of reelection because of the way that the fact that he's really hasn't really addressed this in a way. You know what I mean? And I'm Jewish. I've been saying I'm Jewish. Like, but it doesn't mean that I like Netanyahu. It doesn't mean that I support Israeli, you know, political decisions.
Doesn't mean you're a Zionist.
Doesn't mean I'm a Zionist. Well, I mean, people like to kind of take that term and turn it into certain things. Zionist just means that Israel can exist. And I do feel that Israel can exist. Because some people, Hamas feels that Israel shouldn't exist.
Right.
It should feel that it should be obliterated. You know, Hamas feels that Israel is not an actual legitimate country and they will not talk to Israel at all. They have to talk to the actual government of Palestine. There has to be a middleman in this conversation because they feel this is not a legitimate organization. They're just occupiers.
Right.
And they will never have a conversation with them until they're just gone.
Right.
And Zionism just feels that Israel should exist as a country and Israel's not going anywhere. You know, but over time, Zionist, you know, has turned into, like, that term has turned into something else.
Unfortunately,
You see what I'm saying?
this is something that is going to continue as long as people have a strong belief in their faith.
Right. Right.
Because
and I'm not religious.
Those borders are written in the Torah.
What's a 2,000-year-old conflict?
Yeah.
Because originally it was the Jews had Israel, and Jerusalem, and Palestine and stuff like that. And then at one point it was kind of cohabitated by both Palestinians and Jews. And then after World War II, there was so much conflict that, you know, because it was a British colony, and they pretty much were just tired of dealing with it. So they pretty much just said, listen, whatever y'all decide is on y'all. And then the United Nations
it goes back even
to the
further
Jews
than that. It goes back to when Sumerians came in and they took the 10 tribes. It goes back to the Roman occupation of Judah.
Yeah.
It's just crazy. It's
Yeah,
just crazy.
and it's steeped in religion, and you're not going to, when it comes to religion, logic is thrown out the window. It's faith.
Yeah,
It's
but
faith.
It's deeper than that.
There's no faith that should justify what's happening now.
No. You got to understand. And I know a lot of you, like, you're religious people, but you've never actually read this book.
If you're gonna bring up Old Testament
If you're
stuff,
gonna read the Bible, like really pick it up and see how much genocide is in that shit, how much murder, how much they're just wiping. I'm gonna come to your land. God gave this to me, so you must die. You know what I'm saying? That is all throughout that book, and that's why they're still fighting.
Yeah, man, I agree. And there's no good solution. And it saddens me to see.
Well, the best solution is stop shooting till we figure it out. We could.
There's no figuring it out.
Yeah, but at the same time, there's hostages.
Yeah, but
so you should just ignore the hostages.
What were you doing to make them want to take hostages? Like I refuse to believe that these people just decided, one day we're just going to wild out because everything was so great.
No, I understand.
Now we're just going to go this route.
I understand. They essentially created, Israel created essentially an open air prison where they cut off supply. After Hamas became the governing force of that area,
and that's when
Israel felt that it was now dangerous, and now they had to cut off supply lines and stuff like that. And you're creating a very bad situation that kept getting worse and worse and worse until you had the attack. So I get it. I understand Israel's place in this. I get it.
This is not me trying to make you.
No. I understand.
However,
I'm agreeing with you.
Yeah.
Israel had a role in what ultimately triggered that attack. But was murdering a whole bunch of kids at a concert and taking hostages, was that the proper
it's the
reply
same
to that?
Look, it's the same.
See, everyone's wrong.
Well, no,
everyone's wrong.
No, hold on. It's the same shit that goes on with the gangs out here. I could be the head of a gang, and I could tell everybody, listen, we're gonna chill. We're gonna stop tripping on those guys over there, or whatever. There could be one guy at the bottom level who says, nah, they killed my brother. I'm not letting it go.
Yeah.
And that would be the end of the truce.
Yeah.
It's not the same. It's not the same. It's not the same. It's one thing if I have a personal grudge against this one person and fuck what you talking about, me and him gotta get busy. If I'm a gang leader, it's nothing for me to go, you know what? You're right. Which one of y'all killed his brother? Square up.
I think it's just too much history with these two countries.
And it's hot.
What I'm seeing
and
here,
it's hot.
What I'm seeing here is
in the hood, summertime is the killing season. It's hot out this bitch.
You've been fucking with us.
It's a good enough reason.
Wait, what was that?
You've been fucking with us for generations. Eventually, you're going to make me punch you in the face. You're going to make me do something to you.
Because you talking about these two countries.
Talking about Hamas.
Hamas,
right. And I don't support terrorism.
Right.
There's no people. Good chunk of the racism that happens in this country happens because white people are afraid that we're going to do to them what they did to us.
You're right.
Right.
That we're going to pay them back for all the bullshit that they've been doing. And one of these days, we're going to flip and burn the whole fucking place down. But hold on. And the worst part is they feel as if we'd be justified in doing it if we did it. Like the reason why they see it, why they're so afraid of it, because if they were us, they'd have did that.
But here's the thing, though, man. Here's the thing.
You create terrorists at a certain level. At a certain level, you create the hatred that makes somebody not care about your women, your children, your life, your property, your pursuit of happiness.
MECC, that's part of it. The other part is the people who actually believe that they're superior to everyone else.
Sure. But when the results don't change, the why is irrelevant. You dig what I mean?
The why, in this case, the why is never irrelevant.
When the results don't change.
Because it's a 2,000-year-old why.
The results don't change, though.
Right.
But the results aren't changing. If I feel pushed in a corner, if I feel inmates try to escape, and most of them belong there. You dig what I mean? That doesn't stop them from trying to escape. Right. If I'm in an open-air prison, you control the borders. Right. But I can't leave.
Yeah, but it's a more complicated situation than what you're describing because, like I said earlier, there has been, and me and Alan Dershowitz, who's very pro-Israel, we've had conversations about this in our interviews. There has been multiple times where there's been compromises that have been brought to Hamas that said, listen, we'll give you this land, we'll unoccupy this, you could take this, we'll take this, you take this, you guys can have your own government, everything else like that. When you have a group like Hamas who says, we won't even talk to you, and any compromise gets thrown out the window because you're not even supposed to be here at all. We won't be happy until all of y'all are obliterated or moved somewhere else. We're not going to have this conversation. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
We're not going. Hamas has never agreed to. They won't even have a conversation directly.
That's the talk I'm hearing from Israel now. That's the same kind of talk I'm hearing from Israel. Anytime I look at a clip, it's somebody saying, wipe them off the face of the earth, get rid of them, fuck their babies, fuck their children, fuck this, fuck that. Fuck
and they're wrong for that as well.
And they got weapons to do it. Big weapons.
Right. But it could have been stopped ahead of time if you had an organization, if you had a government that said, okay, look, because here's what happens when you look at the history of shit. Do you understand what the purpose of terrorism is? Right? Because I remember I went to Israel and I actually took classes about this. The purpose of terrorism is to stop the peace process. That's the actual purpose of terrorism. Terrorism always springs up when compromise is about to happen.
Right.
People are about to figure things out, and they're gonna. The mark of a good compromise is when everyone's unhappy.
Right.
Right. It's a great compromise when both people feel like they made a bad deal. Right. When one person feels like they had a great deal and the other person has a bad deal, that's not a good compromise. Right. Everyone feels like they should have argued more, but ultimately this is the compromise. We're going to live with it.
Right.
When compromise is about to happen, and both parties are about to have a conversation and sit down at the table, someone blows up a bus, and suddenly the talks stop.
Right.
Because everyone says, how can you talk to these people? They're animals. They blow up buses full of children.
Right.
Right? If you look at the history of Israel, the president of Israel, Rabin, who was the general of the Israeli army, for decades was at war with Yasser Arafat, who was the head of the PLO, the Palestinian Palestinian Liberation Organization. They had been fighting each other for decades, and thousands of people were dying on both sides. Bill Clinton got both of them to come to America, and on international television, he got them to shake hands.
Yes, right.
This was a monumental event in the history of the Middle East. At no point, these are guys that have been killing each other, but they are now getting older. They are now in, I think, their 60s or 70s. They're like, our grandchildren are going to keep fighting the same war that we are. We need to finally figure it out with each other. They shook hands on international television, and the actual peace process was beginning. A Jewish kid, 20-something-year-old Jewish guy, who was extremely right-wing, got it into his head that he's not for this. He started going around with these super right-wing rabbis and said, there's this Jewish law that says if a Jew kills other Jews, he should be killed. So by this definition, shouldn't Rabin, the president of Israel, be killed? And the rabbis were like, well, yeah, I guess, by that law, I guess that's technically true. Rabin had a big peace rally. A Jewish guy from Israel popped him in the head and killed him. And you know what happened after that? The peace process stopped. Netanyahu came in, who was ultra right-wing, whose own brother was killed during the fighting with the PLO.
Yeah.
And from that point on, he said, I'm not compromising with these fucking people.
There it is.
And here we are today. The peace process was going to happen, and a terrorist from the Israeli side fucked it all up. When people think terrorists, they think that it's the Muslims. No. It goes both ways.
Right.
This is a clear example of an Israeli terrorist who fucked up the entire peace process, and decades later, we're still this. And Al Dershowitz was asked to represent this guy in court, and he said, no, I'm good. I'm not doing that. I'll do Epstein, but I'm not doing this guy. You know what I'm saying?
Yo, when I found that out, I cracked up laughing.
Yeah,
for the exact same reason. He's like,
crazy.
What? Who? Him? No. Homer Simpson into the bushes.
Yeah.
Right.
Just and that's the whole history of it, man. It's a complicated, convoluted history with terrorists on both sides in a fucked up situation that in 2024 is still going. And you have innocent people on both sides. You still have hostages that are still sitting, that still have not been freed. You got innocent people who live in Palestine who are just trying to live a regular life, who are getting bombed, and it's fucked up. And you got Netanyahu, who's been fucking president for decades now. He's like the Putin of fucking Israel.
Yeah.
Who's not backing down, who has personal grudges, and he's fucking a lot of shit up. And that's why I'm saying. There's problems on both sides.
Yeah. It's the same thing that goes on in the hood.
Yeah. It's problems on both sides. and I'm not taking one side over the other. I'm trying, and a lot of people have said, yo, Vlad is the only person that's actually brought some level of clarity and balance into this conversation. And I've done it on Breakfast Club. My tweet fucking went super viral, like 20 million impressions.
I just appreciate the fact that you're saying anything. Like whether I agree with you or not, I appreciate the fact.
And that's what I wanted Khaled to do.
Yeah, I got people on both sides. So
much like I appreciate J. Cole for actually saying something when it came to this whole beef between the big three. This guy actually did a song, whether you like it, love it, hate it, or indifferent.
He did a song.
He's saying.
He replied. They said something.
A song, like a whole, not a line.
Don't do that,
no.
It's hot for trapper turn smack rapper. Only smack rapper that you know is smack rapper.